And welcome back to the Daily Wrap. So how far would you go to try to change government? How about strapping yourself to a mini helicopter the size of a John Deere mower and breaking no-fly rules over Washington, D.C. to deliver letters to Congress?
No sane person would do what I'm doing. I have carefully planned it so that nobody will get hurt, including me, especially me. I'm not suicidal, and I'm not going to commit suicide, and I'm not going to fly into any monuments.
Okay, listening after the first pull. Wow, it really was like a lawnmower. If that death machine's engine doesn't light up, I'm not going anywhere. Anyway, here is pilot Doug Hughes explaining what he's up to.
I'm going to land on the Capitol Mall, in front of the Capitol building. I'm going to have 535 letters strapped to the landing gear in boxes, and those letters are going to be addressed to every member of Congress.
He's got the logo and he's got the bin that has United States mail on it. I mean, at least he's organized. So why is Doug doing this insane act? Campaign finance reform, of course.
Change the government to build a wall of separation between the government and big money so that government will represent the people. There are these problems and these problems and these problems that are much more important than campaign finance reform. But those won't get addressed until we fix campaign finance reform.
And Doug did exactly that today. Well, most of it.
This is CNN Breaking News.
The breaking news, we're getting reports of a manned aircraft, get this, that has just landed on the west front of the U.S. Capitol building here in Washington, D.C. Athena Jones is up on Capitol Hill. She's joining us on the phone. We got a picture there. What happened? What's going on?
Well, if there's an aircraft involved, you can rest assured that CNN is going to be all over it. Anyway, here's some cell phone video of Doug's flight.
This is not good, people. No, he's not. Oh, guys, just stay still for a minute. That's not a good thing.
Wow, that doesn't sound like a woman running a field trip. I don't know what does. Well, looks like Mr. Hughes made his flight, but I'm not sure his letters were delivered. Rick, is this guy incredibly stupid, or you just feel sorry for him?
I think the only intelligent thing he said was that a sane person wouldn't do this. This guy is so lucky that he did not get blown out of the sky flying into restricted airspace.
Yeah.
I don't know why he didn't, frankly, and that raises some other questions, because he could have had some nasty stuff on that little helicopter of his. I love the mission he has. I'm with him on the campaign finance reform, but dude, that was really stupid.
I think what was telling about that video is how low he was flying, Heather, and the fact that there were kids nearby.
Yes.
And what if that flying John Deere just happened to run out of gas, or he couldn't control it once he got into an urban environment? Those kids could have been hurt or even killed.
Well, and you think back to October of 2013 when that woman was shot by the police in that area because it looked like she was approaching the White House, and this seems like it was a lot more dangerous. It seems as though the Secret Service and some of the police had the heads up about this guy. But you know, there's a deeper story here. His son had committed suicide by hitting another car head on sometime before this happened. So there's definitely it's a sad story, because if they did know about this before, someone should have stepped in and tried to make this a better situation than what it was.
Okay, so the media guy will ask you.
It's even crazy.
Yeah,
right. That's the point.
That's exactly what my question is. Should the Tampa Bay Tribune, I believe, was involved here, knew this was going to happen? Yeah, get the story of him preparing, but then you got to report this, correct?
Yeah, I don't understand why there isn't an override. I get it. They want the story. They've got the story. That's fine. Why don't they have an ethical obligation to report this? The truth is, the only reason I suspect he wasn't shot down is a shoot down, even of a small vehicle, creates tremendous danger for the reasons you both mentioned.
No, but he could have been arrested
close.
before he got in.
No, that's what I'm saying. That's for
Right.
sure. But the other issue, why he wasn't shot down, because at that height, you take that vehicle down, the rotors are moving, people are going to get hurt. And that's why you can shoot someone with a small caliber gun, close range, not shoot someone out of the sky. But I don't understand why the people who covered this story aren't being held accountable.
I was going to say, I wonder if they can be charged as
as co-conspirators in
I'm not
something.
sure
I mean, you were
that
the
they
lawyers,
didn't-
but it seems to me this is a conspiracy.
I'm not sure that they didn't tell I'm not sure the Secret Service didn't know about this. It's
Well,
an
it wouldn't be the
embarrassment.
Secret Service in this case; it'd be Capitol Police.
Well, Secret Service had interviewed this guy.
They had interviewed him about this.
Yeah, about
Then
his
why-
plan. Listen, there's a whole bigger story than what we know right here, but it's an embarrassment. The Iraqi Prime Minister was in the Capitol
That's right.
when all of this was going
That's
on.
right.
I mean, it
That's
is
right.
absolutely an embarrassment that this type of thing can happen. And you see, we've had other problems with the Secret Service in the last couple months. It's definitely something
is
that
not
is
right
not
here. If
right.
it
Not
was
right.
some kind of grand political theater, I don't know, stuff flying through the air, our history. The last thing we need to do is create fear when it's unnecessary. So even if they want to maximize people's right to protest, this stokes fears in so
And
many
that tour
ways.
guide leader was frightened.
Terrified. You could
She
hear it
was
in her voice.
frightened.
As she
This
should be.
isn't good,
As she
people.
You
should
can
be.
hear it in her voice.
Well, and with all the talk we have lately about drones and what they can do, we've talked about it on this show, what they can do and what can be done. I mean, the fact that this was allowed to happen, I think there's a lot more investigation that has to be done.
You're on the show often, right?
Yeah.
What have I said is my biggest fear?
That is it. Drones coming in.
Drones
yeah.
controlled by terrorists, right, from afar. Not that they wouldn't mind even being on a plane and flying it into somewhere, but packing something like that with explosives. And you don't have to kill a lot of people. But if you flew that into the White House, when you know the president's there, even if you hurt him or not, the fear that would go through this country.
That's
I'm
why
shocked
they-
it hasn't happened
No,
yet.
that's why they call it
Anywhere else.
terrorism. The real danger, and I'm not minimizing the human cost when terrorists act, but is the cultural cost when you paralyze people with fear. And that could happen, and you're 100% right, Joe. The greater the technological advances are, the more security risk there is. Doesn't mean we shouldn't have the technology, but we shouldn't be naive about the real risk that come with it.
And that is our last word, Heather. Sorry. Coming up next, it's tax day,
have
and there's a
19
fight on
months to
Capitol
talk
Hill
about
right now over the death tax. We'll talk about it a little bit later. This is the Daily Wrap, live from a warm New York City. You know, I'm going to let you get the last word in.
Well, now I forget what I was going to say.
Seriously?
No, when we were talking, you were so nicely saying about terrorism and the fear. But the problem I see right now is we don't seem to have any fear. The fact that there's allowing this flying object to get that close to one of our monuments is a major problem that we need to increase the security.
As you said, there's got to be more to the story. I can't believe that this could just happen. It just shocks me.
Yeah, and with the amount of investigation that happened before, it
just
is
shocking.
usual that
But
he
what
would
can
not
you
be
do to
arrested.
stop it is the
Arrest
question.
him.
You
if you're going
arrest
to arrest
him.
people who are going off
Not
to
him.
ISIS,
No,
I'm
you're
saying in
the
general.
larger
Oh, in
problem.
larger
general,
problem, yeah.
You blow
That's
it
a
up.
no-fly zone.
If you can't get in contact with it, you blow it
Then you
up
blow it
before
up.
it gets to restricted
Send a
airspace.
message. I couldn't agree more. Okay. Heather, see? We accommodate you. More Daily Wrap in a moment.